Hi, I'm Sandy Steinman, president of Background Checks Express, your one-stop source for accurate, accessible, and affordable background checking. Negligent hiring lawsuits have really been on my mind since the senseless murder of those two TV station employees this past week by a disgruntled former employee. I would be willing to bet that once the grief of the survivors and the friends of the victims gets out of the public eye, that there's attorneys fairly salivating at the idea of filing a negligent hiring lawsuit against the television station. Will it be successful? I have no idea, but I promise you this, it'll be expensive. And if the station were to lose, then the financial impact of a successful negligent hiring lawsuit could be catastrophic. Remember, employers lose those negligent hiring lawsuits 79% of the time at an average cost of well over $1 million. So, how does an employer defend themselves against negligent hiring lawsuits? Let's take a look. The broad answer is that an employer's best defense against a negligent hiring lawsuit is being able to prove that they performed due diligence in the hiring process. If an employer can convince a jury that the employer has exercised due diligence, then the employer has a terrific defense against a negligent hiring lawsuit. Background checking by a competent professional background checking company certainly proves due diligence on the part of the employer. But always bear in mind that you get what you pay for, and employers who use inexpensive but questionable record sources, like some of the discount data brokers that can be found online, are likely to be sorely disappointed when they try to use those records as proof of their due diligence. There are databases that are really useful, but non-database checks like a check of county criminal records are important because only 66% of criminal cases wind up on those databases. Let's take a quick look at what a plaintiff has to prove to have a successful negligent hiring lawsuit. First, there has to be an injury to the plaintiff. Second, they have to prove there was a duty of care to the plaintiff. And certain employers have a higher duty of care because of unique situations of the job. Examples of that are daycare workers, caretakers for the sick or elderly, and even hotel employees who are likely to find themselves in one-on-one situations with hotel guests. Third, the plaintiff has to show that the employer breached the duty of care. For example, there was a case of a nightclub bouncer who injured a patron, and it was discovered that the bouncer had shown previous violent tendencies, had convictions for assault, and with due diligence, the nightclub should have known about those problems. And finally, there has to be a link between the negligent hiring and the injury. Here's the deal. Juries typically find that if an employer could have known information about an applicant that would have prevented the hire, then that translates to the employer should have known, and that translates to a winning negligent hiring case for the plaintiff. Here's a perfect example. Let's say that the television station had asked their background checking firm, and I'm sure they have one, to run a check of civil court cases filed by the murderer when he was an applicant. They would have discovered that he had filed more than one lawsuit against employers, and that may have given them pause for concern about hiring him and may well have prevented this entire tragedy. Look, employers can prevent those kind of losses by partnering with a professional background checking company and carefully checking the background of prospective employees. If you're an employer, I hope you'll follow this series of videos, because what you learn here could well keep you out of court or keep you from hiring the wrong person and winding up as a defendant in one of those negligent hiring lawsuits, and that's our mission. If you want to learn more about background checking or want to talk about the right process for you, just feel free to call me at 844-SCREEN-NOW. That's 844-727-3366, or email me at sandy@backgroundchecksexpress.com. In the meanwhile, please be safe, hire safe, and I'll see you in the next video.